All right. Friday morning. Thank you for watching today. We're going to continue in James. We're pushing through James here. We're in James 4 today, looking at drawing close to God, and what that includes, what that looks like, and maybe some things that it doesn't actually look like. So, one thing that James really stresses here in this passage is being humble. Humble yourselves. Be humble before God. You know, in my life experience, I've noticed that when we can be humble, or when I can be humble, or have humility in my life, it tends to make up for a lot of other shortcomings. You know, we know that love does that as well. When we love others, it covers a plethora of other sins. But being humble, you know, even if we make a mistake, you know, and maybe our don't listen to God when He gives us a direction or a stop or a don't or a do, and we don't do it, but we're still humble. I think He can still work through that, and God likes to prove Himself faithful in times where we're not. You know, I had that experience recently where I wasn't faithful. I didn't do the right thing. I thought I had a clear word, and then I still kind of didn't do it right at all, and God was still faithful through that. Like, I got corrected, but He showed me, this is why I wanted you to do that. This was exactly why. And even though you didn't do it, I'm still going to pull you through it, and now you know. And I don't know, almost think of it like a father-son teaching thing, where He used that to show me, like, you know, I'm not going to leave you hanging. You know, but when I tell you something, just do it. It's for your own benefit. You know, it's not just because I like to give directions. God isn't just giving us directions for His own fun. He wants to help us. He wants to save us. But anyway, I'm getting a little off track here. So let's read James 4, verses 1 through 10, and then we'll look at it a little bit. So here we go. Drawing close to God. What is causing the quarrels and fights among you? Don't they come from the evil desires at war within you? If we think about war and like the world, war always has a reason. You know, either there's always a quarrel, a conflict that's happening. That's why there's war. Conflict, and then it bubbles over, and then it explodes, and then the only thing left to do is fight. And so our lives reflect that same thing. You know, we might have a coworker or a friend or a former friend or whoever it is. We just have a conflict with them, and after a while, that conflict just kind of boils over, and then we're fighting. So, don't they come from the evil desires at war within you? You want what you don't have, so you scheme and kill to get it. You are jealous of what others have, but you can't get it, so you fight and wage war to take it away from them. Yet you don't have what you want because you don't ask God for it. And even when you ask, you don't get it because your motives are all wrong. You want only what will give you pleasure. You adulterers. Don't you realize that friendship with the world makes you an enemy of God? That's verse 4. You adulterers, don't you realize that friendship with the world makes you an enemy of God? When we think of adultery, we think of sexual adultery or marriage, like sex outside of your marriage is adultery. But what God's referring to here is we're spiritual adulterers. You know, we come to Him and say, "Oh God, I love you. Thank you for Jesus Christ. We love you." But then the first opportunity that comes along, you're back with the world. You know, and God sees that like we see our marriages. Like, you know, are you committed to God and His Son or not? You know, you can't do both, and I think that really hurts God when we start trying to jump between, when we become spiritual adulterous, and try to come close to Him and ask for forgiveness. Oh, I'm so sorry, Lord. It was a mistake. But then the very next day, you're back at it again. You know, that has to kind of make Him feel like this. You adulterer. You don't realize that friendship with the world makes you an enemy of God. I say it again. If you want to be a friend of the world, you make yourself an enemy of God. What do you think the Scripture mean when they say that the Spirit God has placed within us is filled with envy. But he gives us even more grace to stand up against such evil desires. As Scripture says, God opposes the proud but favors the humble. That's what I was talking about a little bit with the humble. God opposes the proud but favors the humble. So humble yourselves before God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Come close to God, and God will come close to you. Wash your hands, you sinners. Purify your hearts, for your loyalty is divided between God and the world. Let there be tears for what you have done. Let there be sorrow and deep grief. Let there be sadness instead of laughter, and gloom instead of joy. Humble yourselves before the Lord, and he will lift you up in honor. When we think about that like a marriage, that last 3 verses there, God says, I want you back. I will take you back, even though you've praised me with your mouth and haven't honored me with your actions. You've turned back to the world. You've gone the way of the world. I still want you back. But you need to be repentant. You need to be sorry. You need to humble yourselves. You need to come close to me. You need to wash your hands of your sin. You need to stop doing what you're doing. Purify your heart. For your loyalty is divided between God and the world. He says, let there be tears for what you've done. Be sorry about it. Be honestly sorry for what you've done. And don't want to do it anymore. Let there be sorrow and deep grief. That means we understand how much that hurt him. How much that isn't his plan for us. We have deep grief and sorrow. Let there be sadness instead of laughter. You know, I've been married for a long time, so when you're married in a good marriage, you don't have a lot of drama with your, hopefully. We don't have a ton, where we're like, our relationship is in the balance. It's never in the balance. We're married, we're locked in. But I remember when I was dating, and like maybe you were at a young age, or I was at a young age, and dating, and a woman that I was dating, or a girl that I was dating, wasn't faithful, and then, like, I saw her laughing about it. She didn't know I saw it, but that sucked. That was really painful, and it wasn't a good thing, it was hard for me to ever forgive her, and I wasn't even walking with Christ then, but I that was the last straw, when she wasn't even the least bit sorry about it, and she thought it was funny. So God's saying, let there be sadness instead of laughter, and gloom instead of joy. If you're laughing and joyful, and then, oh, but I'm sorry, God, I love you, that has to hurt his heart. Humble yourselves before the Lord, and he will lift you up in honor. So we're going a little long here, but there's just so much to this, and drawing close to God. Like, he's just saying, don't be double-minded. Don't try to fool me, is what God's saying here. Don't try to pull the wool over my eyes and be with the world, because if you're with the world, you're not with me. You can't have it both ways. So tell somebody about Jesus today. Come to church. We'll see you at Whole Life Church Sundays at 10 a.m. and we'll save you a spot.